So just a video on color correction for the SCPH 1000 series and 5000 series. These are the models that are compatible with the Xstation, but unfortunately they're also the models that need a separate crystal oscillator installed to get color on NTSC games. So when you're running an NTSC game on a PAL console, it'll be in black and white when using composite or S-video, and when running a PAL game on an NTSC console, it'll be in black and white using S-video or composite. You can just use RGB cables, which is the best quality and the sharpest image, but not everybody has the luxury of RGB, and scalers like the OSSC are quite pricey. So I just was searching for a solution when I had trouble finding crystal oscillators, the 4.433 megahertz ones, which is the PAL frequency required. They're not cheap if you can find them, but yeah, they're hard to find, and you need to install them as well. The DFO options, like dual frequency oscillators, they're not cheap either. They're probably not that hard to install, but if you just want to be able to play in color overseas games on your Xstation modded console without any messing around and without paying for extra modifications like the DFO or the additional crystal or whatnot, I'll just show you how to do that quickly. So I'm not an expert on this subject. I've taken some notes here, completely ignoring the resolutions. The PlayStation will boot up into the BIOS at 50 Hz and then it will settle at 49.76 Hz. When we run an NTSC game on the PAL console, it'll be at 59.27 Hz. That's what it settles at. Out of curiosity, I ran two later model PlayStations through the OSSC. One was the 9002 and one was the 7502. So the 7502 I think is the PU22 and the 9002 is the PU23. They both ran NTSC games at 59.41 Hz. So I'm guessing that that big gap there of what 0.59 is too out of spec for TVs to produce a color signal. Now, as I said, I'm not an expert on it. There's something about PAL 60 versus NTSC, and apparently on the later models they can be in color on a compatible TV, but it's better to force PAL 60 with the color correction mod. Both those models there that were outputting 59.41 Hz were color corrected. Now, when using RGB on a PVM, there's no issues. NTSC games on a PAL console and a PVM are perfect. Apparently it's like 1% out on the timing. You're not going to notice it. There's no point stuffing around, doing extra mods or doing this if you've got a PVM. On a consumer CRT or an RGB hacked CRT, you might find that the image is shifted a little bit to the left. I'm not sure if that's a frequency causing it. It very well could be. If you know more about this and the nitty-gritty tech details, comment below. Like, let us know. I'm interested. But yeah, as for most people, they're not going to want to fork out for an OSSC or a PVM and RGB TVs with factory SCART. They're just impossible to find. I found one and it worked for 5 minutes. It's a bit of a monster. Went and picked it up and just managed to squeeze it into the car and got it home, and it shit itself after 5 minutes. It's probably repairable, but project for another day. So yeah, the issue we are rectifying here is black and white using S-video, which is a more common standard here in Australia, probably the US, or composite, which most people use composite. Now, I'm not going to go through the hierarchy of, I might as well. So composite's pretty much the worst after RF. S-video is a major step up. Then you've got RGB, which is probably the best. And then you've got component, which is capable of higher resolutions, but it's probably no better than RGB. It's just capable of higher resolution. Some people will argue that you won't notice a difference between component and RGB, but I think you can definitely notice a difference. So we're pretty much just using an app here to force the NTSC games to run at 49.76 Hz, which is what these consoles, their PAL models, run PAL games at. Now, I think because there's different lines of resolution in NTSC versus PAL, it can cause some graphical anomalies. but it's not that bad. They're very playable. I'll just go through on how to do it. So I'll put a link in the description, which is for this app here, IPlight, which, what's that stand for? Import Player Lite. So here we're using the 2.1 version 2.1 Euro. Euro covers in New Zealand, Australia, Europe for these PlayStations. So that's the one we want. Now, I assume you've already, sorted out an SD card and used the special app that the Xstation guys recommend to use to format your card, and you know how to just dump the folders there with your game images. There's no issues with the Xstation using multiple bin files. You don't need to do anything. You can just get the games off the internet, just whack them in a folder there, decompress them. They're usually already in a folder. So this is just an 8 gig card I had sitting around. This is all I could fit on it, so if I need to put anything else on, I have to delete things to make room. And here's IPlight. So make a folder of any name and then just put the bin and Q file off the download link in that folder. Then we go options and refresh game list, and that'll pop up. So I'll just run Moto Racer. Keep in mind this would normally be in black and white. It's only in color because I'm using RGB through an OSSC, which is then going through an HDMI capture. It's the only way I could make this video. So we'll just wait for it to load, see what it looks like in NTSC, as close to NTSC as the PAL console can do, I guess. Let's quickly get into it, just so you can see the difference between what it looks like on RGB through an OSSC anyway, versus forced PAL. Now, because it is a little bit out of spec, as I said, on a PVM it wouldn't matter, and then I mentioned on a consumer CRT or RGB hacked one it might side shift the image a little bit, but also through an OSSC being out of spec, if you're playing like a fast-paced, say, fighting game, you will get some stutter and lag. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Just reset the console. That wasn't meant to happen. That was meant to reboot into the Xstation. Every now and then it just starts the game again. Give us a sec. I think maybe you're meant to hold reset down for more than a second or something. Just make sure. Yeah, load up. Okay, so now this is the IPlight app, which is, what is it again? Let's check. Import player. As mentioned, the link will be down below. So to make use of this and force NTSC games to run in color on your TV, if you're using composite or S-Video, we're just going to use the multi-disc option there. Choose IPlight's always going to be disc 1, then whatever game you want to load, disc 2. So let's see the difference on Moto Racer there, using forced PAL mode. Done. Fast load X. Okay, so there, forced PAL. Now it's thinking that the game disc is going to be Moto Racer, and it's just going to be looking for an eject in between the disc swap. So we hit start game. Don't hit X again. Open your console's drive lid, which doesn't have a disc in it anymore. It's got an Xstation, but open it anyway, and close it, and then hit X. Now, because it's forced PAL, it shouldn't be having any issues through the OSSC with the small discrepancy there in the refresh rate, but mainly what we want is a color picture. So I'm assuming a lot of people are just going to be using composite, or if they can track down an old CRT, because they're easy to find with S-Video, but they're just not easy to find with RGB SCART. So I tested this on an old Sony Trinitron. It's next to my PVM. I sort of use both of them for my retro gaming and testing consoles and whatnot. That way I can have access to RGB component and S-Video, and yeah, composite. Now this is one of the games that will have a slight anomaly. It's really not that bad. It's still playable, but it's just because of the forced PAL. We'll just quickly have a look at it. There's big giant circles in the background, by the way. Pretty cool. It's like retro video game style. So yeah, see that blue bar down the bottom? It doesn't affect gameplay or anything. It does mention on the app that we're using that if you hold L1, L2, R1, R2 together and then use the D-pad, you should be able to move the screen around in game, but that feature doesn't seem to work. Anyway, we'll just try another game, force it into PAL, see what it looks like. Yeah, these old consoles are good sometimes. If you just want to play a game for a little while, or a long while, whatever tickles your fancy, you know, you can just boot it up and play it. There's no stuffing around with like every time you want to play a modern game, oh, 4 gig update, 50 gig update, 8 gig update, and these are a gorgeous old console. They started the entire whole PlayStation saga, so good to have an OG PlayStation with SD card loading. So good on the guys who made Xstation. That's awesome. I completely ignored the, what's that other one called, the Cyberdyne one, the SIO. I just heard bad feedback about compatibility, and that the staff are really rude to customers when they need help with things. So I'm glad I got the Xstation, and they work well. So we're just gonna go forced PAL. Yeah, we do a start game, eject, close, X. I've had some time off work with a broken finger. I actually finished this game. See how it looks. I haven't tried it forced on PAL. So as mentioned, I use this on a PVM, so there's none of these issues exist that way. I don't need to put a crystal in. I don't need to force any NTSC or PAL. Well, what do we got? Battle type. Looks like something you'd wear to bed when you want to get kinky. Battle type, hey? Oh, that one's still locked. Let's go army type. Not that it matters. This is an SCPH1002. If you're wondering, it's the launch model, aka the audiophile model with the extra RCA jacks on the rear. Not many of them would be alive these days. I was given one when I was in high school in like 2002, and it was already broken. Really important if you're just using a mod chip on these to use really good quality media. Back in the day, I used to use the Teo Udens, or the DATS CDR they called them. They had the blue bottom, and then I'm pretty sure you could get the blue bottom Kodaks before Kodak went bankrupt or whatever, and they still had good quality media. After that they went to shit. TDK Golds were okay. I'm not sure who makes them, but Verbatim Azo, they're still affordable, they're still manufactured, very easy to get, and they're made by Mitsubishi Chemical Corporation, so your laser's going to last a lot longer. Anyway, you can see the game's FMVs running perfectly there. It all looks good. Could probably change some settings on the PVM. Make it look more like it should. Give us a sec. I said PVM, I meant OSSC. Oh, that's a bit better. Then, so that was, I mean, if you've got an OSSC and you want to know what settings I'm doing, that was line multi-mode, and then 3, which will give you your original 4:3 aspect ratio. Then if you hit down on scanline mode, lots of times that'll darken up the picture and give you some fake scan lines. I can't really notice it through the capture, but that's definitely looks the best if you're using one of these. So line multi-mode, and then button number 3, then you go on scan line mode and hit the P arrow down until the screen's as dark as possible, and it'll almost look like you're playing it on a CRT. Blah blah blah, let's skip this. So it looks like this game works perfectly with forced PAL, because this is obviously an NTSC game. All the games I get are pretty much NTSC US. This game is brutally difficult. Like, there's no ammo anywhere, there's lots of health, but you do a lot of searching around to find out what the hell you're meant to do, and then you waste too many supplies, so you end up just resetting the console and then reloading your game and then knowing what to do, and then rinse repeat, play through a bit, waste some resources, realize you've wasted resources, reset the game, start from your from your load, try and get a bit further when you know what you're doing. But, yeah, I never played this one as a teenager, so I played number 2. That was really good. This one's more like hardcore survival. Number 2 is like arcadey. But, yeah, that's looking perfect. So I think that's pretty good. A pretty good fix using this friggin', what do you call it? Import Player Lite version 2.1. So yeah, no crystal installed, no nothing. You just choose that as your first disc. The game you want to play is your second. start it up with the quick load. Hit X on start game, pop your lid open, close it again, and then hit X again. And that's about it. Sorry if I crapped on for a while, I just like talking shit sometimes, I guess. Anyway, if you want an Xstation installed, I offer services on eBay. Post it in, I'll smash it out and post it back. If you need any other mods, you want whatever, just inbox us on there. I am trying to get on the list of approved installers for the Xstation. Oh, don't go that way. No. Does this guy get eaten soon? Nah, it's someone else. But we'll see how that goes. Can't get in there yet. Anyway, have fun.